One of the main messages that I want to get across is that iodine can actually work as a replacement of an antibiotic. Hi guys, this is Elizabeth Quam with Engedi Grove with Homesteading for Health. Our little farm is called Engedi Grove, but my YouTube channel is Homesteading for Health, and we are a homesteading family, but we're transitioning from one homestead to another, about 20 miles away from the first one that we had, closer to my mom actually, and on a little bit more land. So I am a big proponent of iodine, boron, and all of your fat-soluble vitamins. Those things, I believe, will line up all the other nutrients in your body. I have reasoning behind that, but I won't explore all of that right now. I think we get a lot of the other stuff in our diet, but the iodine and the boron, I think especially, are depressed in our age right now, where there is a lot of toxic burden and there is a lot of radiation, just normal radiation that's all around us. It's more prevalent now than it was before. And so we need, I believe, more of that, and in large therapeutic doses, actually. But I won't get into that right now. I want to talk about testosterone and dopamine, which some of you are like, I don't know, I think I know what testosterone is, but I don't know anything about dopamine, don't know if I care. One thing that I enjoyed about my homestead and selling ducks, I used to sell lots of ducklings. And one thing I really enjoyed about it was I got to meet a lot of different people. And I also sold chickens, and I remember one time where I was selling these roosters, and they wanted roosters. They were specifically wanting roosters, and they were from the country of Laos. And I asked them why specifically they wanted the roosters, because it seemed intentional that they only wanted the roosters and the ones that were like already crowing and stuff. So I was like, well, why is it that you want it? And they just were like, well, good for procreation, I guess. And you think about it, and you think, well, testosterone. Testosterone in animals, the same molecule, it's an identically same molecule chemically from in an animal as in a human being. And when you consume chicken, a rooster, that has testosterone in it, you are giving yourself a bioidentical hormone. And I think it's interesting that a lot of times, when you go hunting and gathering, you are, if you're hunting, you are oftentimes consuming an animal that has, half the time it's a male animal that has testosterone. I don't believe that is why we have decreased testosterone right now. If you look at it, the statistics are that men just have less, there's much less testosterone. No. My name is Antonio. What is it? My name is what? Prepare to die. My name is Ignacio Montoya. You kill my father. Prepare to die. Princess Bride, anyone? Do you like Princess Bride?
Yeah, I like it too, but I don't like the machines.
You don't like the machine. Yeah, that's a really scary moment in the movie. I'm going to take this sword. No, go away. I want to play this little clip from our friend.
Hens don't have a rooster to protect them, because that's the rooster's job. It's not just making babies and multiplying the flock. It is their guardians. They watch the sky. They, call out if there's danger. There's like a certain sound that they do, and all the other chickens will look when they hear that sound.
She's trying to find her rooster. That's Cosmopolitan Cornbread. That's Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. And I just started watching some of her videos. And okay, first of all, I'll say this. It's really enjoyable to be able to select the TV that you get to consume. So when you are deciding to relax and enjoy something, I so enjoy just watching some of these homesteading videos. And you can also do that on Abundance Plus that Justin Rhodes made. This whole network, and he's trying to grow that network, and that's something that someone could invest in just to enjoy the content that they're watching when they like that homesteading stuff and gardening things and such. But anyway, so I want to talk about how the testosterone and the dopamine are both super important. One, dopamine is super important for drive to do anything. It is the thing inside of yourself that motivates you forward, and it is a rewarding thing. It feels good. And I want to show a clip about that.
I think one of the most important findings in the last few years in neuroscience is that while the molecule dopamine is associated with reward, it's more about motivation and craving. There's a really classic experiment now that people use to demonstrate this. You take two rats, and the rats independently, separate cages, can lever press for food, or they can access food. There's a little bit of dopamine that's released anytime they get some food. So we always thought that food, like many other rewards, like food, sex, warmth when you're cold, cool when you're too warm, is triggering the release of dopamine. But someone had the good idea to deplete dopamine in one of those animals. And then what you find is that the animal without dopamine still enjoys food, still enjoys other pleasures. So dopamine's not really involved in the enjoyment of those pleasures. It's involved in motivation, because if you make the animal have to move just one rat's length, believe it or not, to get to that lever, the animal with dopamine will work to go get that thing. It will work through some effort to go get the reward. Whereas the animal, or it turns out the human without much dopamine, can still experience pleasure.
I'm stopping it there because he goes on and talks about a little bit kind of he talks about pornography and how it is kind of screwing up the dopamine system. So, but fascinating. So the dopamine is super key in motivation. I think of a few things when we're thinking about these birds. The tenacity, the desire to protect, the testosterone that they have, and that desire and motivation to protect those birds. But you know how they depleted that rat of dopamine? They gave it toxic chemicals to deplete its dopamine. And that is something that I find interesting that a lot of people don't focus on. Okay, how do we deplete this rat's dopamine? And how has it happened that we have depleted our own dopamine? Iodine is so important for every neurotransmitter and every hormone in your body. Malfunctioning thyroid function, which is often caused by insufficient iodine, results in poor cognition, difficulty learning, problems with recall, depression, and anxiety. I had anxiety. I started supplementing with iodine. I don't have anxiety anymore. I have just enough for human needs. Iodine is so important because it's neuroprotective and can kill bacteria, fungal infections, and viruses. Iodine will remove fluoride and chlorine and bromine. Those are other halogens that are not supposed to be in us, and helps your body detox heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, that other detox methods cannot remove. Iodine is amazing. It helps your metals that are supposed to be in your body work well, and it helps the metals that are not supposed to be in your body to get out. Actually lower testosterone, and statins are actually made from an aspergillus mold. Some aspergillus mold toxin manipulated. And then you have this antifungal, And a lot of antifungals are actually made with mycotoxins, mold toxins, antihistamines, illicit drugs, antidepressants. When you poison an enzyme or block a certain pathway, you're not going to get good long-term results. Anything that's going to be depleting your iodine is going to cause a endocrine disruption and a hormonal disruption in your body. One of the main messages that I want to get across is that iodine can actually work as a replacement of an antibiotic. And I've not only done that in my own life, other people have done it in their practices. And I want to get the word out to homesteaders and to other people that large therapeutic doses of iodine can be given. Iodine, potassium iodide, iodine solution can be given to a person in place of an antibiotic. Now, I'm going to say, I am not a doctor, so I'm not telling you a dose and I'm not suggesting a dose for you. I know after studying, I know what has worked for us, and I know what we can do for our own health to use it as an antibiotic. But we haven't had to use it very often. One time had to use it as an antibiotic, and it worked really well. Okay, I can tell you that story later. I want to just caution people, because if their body is not used to iodine, especially someone that has a thyroid issue or something like that, they can have when somebody is super depleted of iodine, when they get a sudden dose of iodine, and the more iodine deficient you are, the more toxic reaction you will have as it gets as things are getting pushed out, expelled from your body, detoxing all these heavy metals, detoxing the bromide, the chlorine, where do these things go? They get detoxed through your skin. So you might get rashes, or through, when you take salt, it helps get the chlorine, the bromine, and it helps, and fluoride out of your body without wreaking havoc. But there's other things that you're detoxing from or being pushed out of cells, like, for example, herpes virus. So one time my husband erupted with 9 cold sores. He hasn't gotten one since, except for one that didn't act quite like a normal cold sore usually does on him. And I'm wondering if that was something else, because it was very inside. Anyway, he hasn't gotten one since. And when I started doing iodine, I don't want this to get too off track, but I kind of do that, and I need to get better at this. I'll get better at storytelling. I erupted with one big cold sore on my mouth when I started taking iodine, and I had never gotten a cold sore on my mouth before. And I was like, whoa. And I believe that is your body pushing it out of your body. Do I believe that I have herpes anymore, like that from that? I don't know. They say it always stays in your body, that you never get rid of it, but I beg to differ, because I will get personal with you in a little while. Maybe not today, I'll save it. I'll get more personal with you in the future. And I have reason to believe that I don't think it has to stay. I don't think it has to stay around. I think it can be solved. I think it can be cured. And I think that I don't know that I have herpes anymore in my body at all. Anyway, so yes, there are people that are using it as an antibiotic in their practices, and it is wonderful. It is wonderful. What I would really like to get across is that the chronic exposures that we have had, that have, not only are we deficient in iodine, but that we have had chronic exposures of radiation. We have chronic exposures of pesticides, herbicides, and toxins in our body. And we might live in a house that has mold toxins because 40%, 50% of houses have water damage. And a leaky roof could get fixed, but the mold could still be growing on the top of your ceiling. You could just not even be seeing that it is growing on top of your drywall. all causing mycotoxins to be produced, and among other chemicals of the normal processes of a mold. And those things are immunotoxic to us. And and it depletes, it lowers testosterone, and it lowers dopamine. So you get reduced dopamine, reduced testosterone, and we see that a lot in our diseases. Some of you might be thinking right now, but what if you do too much iodine, then you could get like too much testosterone or too much dopamine. And no, iodine makes your hormonal system smarter. It makes you smarter. Like decreased brain fog is one of the effects of iodine supplementation, iodide supplementation, and it makes your immune system more modulated. It helps enhance your immune system. It helps your immune system function. It helps you modulate things. It helps keep things in balance. It's not going to give you way more than you need of dopamine. It's going to decrease the amount of dopamine that you would. Let's say let's say at times you have too much dopamine, all of a sudden a rush of dopamine, and then you don't have enough dopamine. So like it will help normalize the dopamine levels in your body, and so that it won't have a ton of receptors on the cell or too few of receptors on the cell, and the sensitivity to the dopamine in the cell will be greater, and it'll help balance your hormones. If that can help you understand it in a very simple way. It helps you balance your hormones. So, iodine and boron and fat-soluble vitamins. Those are the things that I promote the most of. In my studies, that's what I have concluded and come to with. So, I hope that helped. I hope that was a little bit interesting to some people. And thank you for watching. God bless you guys.